So, welcome to Season of Change, transforming your life by the power in the Word of God. I am your host, Evangelist Joseph Jeremiah, and I have my guest here on this episode from Survivor onto Calling. His name is Khan Coding. He's an author of the book Savage, Chill, Die to Live, and he helps people to come back to their track from recovering from mental issues and getting back on their feet, help people develop their systems, both spiritual and physical and emotional. So I'm having him here tonight on my podcast, Season of Change. So welcome, Cam.
Thank you.
So we're happy to have you on this platform and on this episode of From Survivor onto Calling. And it's a great privilege that we are having you on this program once again to share your story and to help as many as our audience that will be listening to this program to recover from their mental issues or other systems that they're having challenges about in life. So quickly before we proceed, I would like you to just give a short and brief introduction about yourself.
All right, I'm Cam Corden. I'm 49. I'm the author of the book Savage, Chill, Die to Live. And it started out roughly when I was 44. I was in my third marriage, and it was coming to an end. My body was destroyed. I had severe nerve damage, arthritis, and just aches. And it was, I believe the date was April 21st. And my ex-wife and I, we just agreed that the marriage was over. And I have a son from a previous marriage who was living with me. He had 2.5 years left of high school. And I walked outside, and it was a nice spring night in Florida, very hot. And I was just destroyed. Like I said, I felt like I was 70, my body. And I had nothing really left to fight for, except I had a son with 2.5 years remaining in high school before he went to college. And I saw a kettlebell by my pool, and I had a revelation that I have 2.5 years, which is roughly 911 days, and I'm going to fix myself. And if I didn't fix myself, I was not going to slowly deteriorate and have a managed decline with pain medications and whatnot. And I decided right then and there that I would, if I didn't recover, I would just grab a kettlebell, walk into the pool one last time. And at that moment, I had a calm that I can't possibly describe, like clarity, almost from a higher power. You know, it was so crystal clear. I felt relief. And from there, the versions I had of myself, the ones that, I was smoking weed a lot. I was drinking wine, and the version of me was a coward, weak. And I realized if I was going to go on this journey, those versions of myself had to die right then and there. And they did. I never had an urge for any of this ever again. And I went on to the path of trying to fix all my physical issues, which a lot of it was mental and spiritually. And I started, first and foremost, my body was a disaster. So I started looking really hard at alternative ways to repair this so I could start feeling better. And I did lots of protocols with supplements, all sorts of supplements, very controversial. And some worked, some didn't. But the real revelation was an ice plunge. And I started doing this ice plunge religiously for 30 minutes at a time, sometimes 3 times a day. And also I had rules I put into the system, is that there were 2 rules that I developed a long time ago, but I hadn't yet mastered them. But it was no panicking and no whining. And the cold plunge really emphasizes, it teaches you not to panic, because it is very cold. It was 30 degrees. And you really have to calm yourself. You have to be in the moment. And it's like, it was a magical experience with those rules, because it reinforces it. And then when you get out of the cold plunge, your body temperature is still dropping when you stay in for longer times. And you have to move. So I started doing the kettlebell religiously. The thing that was supposed to kill me was the one that, I gravitated towards, and it built the functional strength back up. And those were like the main pillars. And along the way, I realized that, like, when you have a system, is that you have to change the environment. And my environment there was a lot of chaos. I saw old patterns of myself, but like the clutter was the real signal that I had to change. A clean environment, a hotel-like look. So I basically threw away everything I had and just had like a hotel type look. And I started, after that, I started methodically subtracting people from my life. People that didn't serve my purpose. People that would call up when they only needed something. I said, no more. They just got cut from the program, because I couldn't drag those people with me for what I was trying to do. And with that, I really developed like a systematic approach from the beginning. Is that first things first is, when you're in a time of trouble, is you have to change environment. If your house looks like a TV show from Hoarders, there's no way you can ever stick with a program, because there's too much mental chaos. So clutter is a big issue, and especially not only physical clutter, but actual digital clutter as well, is because we are bombarded all day from our phones. So you really have to eliminate all that noise so you can focus on your goal. And when you do that, you have a sense of calmness. It reduces the anxiety. And it's important. That's the first step. And to this day, like, everyone hits ruts. They're going up and up, and then they take a couple steps back down. But you should go back and revisit the clutter, because clutter slowly sneaks back in. And it's really important, the environment, because you can't make changes without the environment. It has to be like, if you go home, it's relaxing, it's calm, it's clean. It's really important. And once you have the clutter removal, and like you've gotten rid of all the people that are trying to really drag you back. I don't know if you know the metaphor of the crabs in a bucket. When you have a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one of them is trying to get out, the other crabs pull you back down. You got to remove the other crabs, because they won't let you get to your goal. It's a tough thing to do. No one likes to actually subtract, but you have to. And you also have to subtract personalities you're carrying. And along the way, when you're developing this, going through the program, you start seeing you have these personalities that really drove you to your problems. Because it's very easy to always blame other people. But like 3 marriages I had, it's on me, and I realized that I was present, like physically in the marriages, but not emotionally, because I absorbed myself into work, extreme training that damaged my body, it caused the problem, and eventually, the bills came due for what I did to my body. And I recognized this along the way because I was in a structured system. And when I had the structured system, and what I encourage everyone to do, is you have to plan every type of thing. So not everyone's going to want to follow like what I do. You have to find your own will and way, but you have to have it systematized. And when I say that is, you have to be able to schedule every type of contingency plan, because if you have your goal, you have to know that like let me go back, is like everyone has a routine, whether you like it or not. Everyone is part of a system. Even if you don't think you have a system, you have a system. And when you put it on paper, from like your morning block, what do you do first thing when you get out of bed? What do you do for your work hours? How do you start your work hours? What do you do when you get before you go to bed? Like there's all structures in the day, so you have to systematize it. So and know it very well. Like write it down. Like first thing you do in the morning. I can tell you step by step what I do. I have water next to my bed. I drink 60 ounces of water. I get up, I go into the bathroom, I shave, shower, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, I come downstairs. I have some more water. And it's important that you track everything when you try to develop a system. Every little aspect, every routine during the day. You have your morning block, your work block. What do you do first thing in your work block? And along the way, you see a lot of the problems that you're generating for yourself based on your system. Whether it's like you open up your phone and next thing you know, you're on social media for 30 minutes, wanting to, saying like, oh my God, that should be my life. Why is their life so perfect? It's distracting you. So when you actually start breaking your day down, then you can start building a system. And this is the most important part, is you have to build the system so it's sustainable for you. It's compatible with you. Because everyone has big dreams and big goals. And they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And that is not the right approach. You start with any system has to start simple, and it should remain simple. You should not add more variables to the system. And once you start adding variables, it becomes complex, and most likely it'll break. So you have to realize not what you want to do in a given day. Like I'm sure everyone's guilty of this. I'm going to do this, but there's no real plan. They don't have a system. They don't take contingencies. What happens if I wake up? I'm going to do this. It usually takes me 30 minutes. I'm going to do 15 minutes of exercise. You have to have contingencies for everything. And you'll never, ever in the real world match those contingencies. But you at least have a plan of attack. So if you're in that frame of mind, and then you can work on it, it will reduce the need to panic or the need to whine or complain. The no panicking, no whining is a big part of the mindset. And it's one of those things that it will take a lifetime to master. But if you practice it and you realize it, you'll catch that knife faster before it really does damage. So you have to basically break down every part of your day. And I can't emphasize enough of that. Like, it's planning, but with contingencies and having checklists. So you don't have to have so much thought, because when you have to make every decision, and this is like based on science as well, every like micro decision you make during the day, and you make a ton from seeing advertisements, if you're going to click or not, that drains your willpower. And when your willpower goes down, you're less likely to be able to do the hard things. So that also comes into the system. You got to do the hard things first. It's a must. You do the things that, like, if you check your email first thing in the morning, is there really anything urgent in those emails? Probably not. But you just drained good willpower for a task that does not really produce the results you want to do. And that is why, if you go back and really break down the structure of your day, you will see where all the energy leaks are.
Okay, thank you so much, Cam. I quickly want to go back. I want to go back to the beginning of where you start from. I want to go to I want quickly to ask. I want to ask a question. You talked about when you're 44 years. This is when I want to use this English, but I'm sorry, but we will get into this mess, struggling with emotional traumas and all sorts of things, and while things are not working, and you said you are in your third marriage. I want to ask you questions. How do you get to this stage? Where are you coming from? Are you coming from a background that is full of crisis, or maybe one thing or the other at a stage, something just setting? And at the same time, how do you get to this point? The first marriage, is it the beginning of the problem? The second marriage, or maybe it continues, and the
No, the
third
first
marriage?
marriage, the first marriage was, I was very young. The
Okay,
second marriage,
at what age do you get married?
probably the first marriage was 23, 24. It lasted maybe 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah, but the second marriage lasted almost 16 years.
Okay, the problem started from your first marriage.
Well, there was a pattern already there. And the pattern was, I avoided intimacy. Like, I could not, I was present, but I was never truly present for my partners. And that was why. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it's really necessary to dive deep in, like, childhood. I think people get stuck there with the why. But I think once you recognize the problems, then you can start killing off those old versions of yourself. And while I was going through this program, and the divorce was ongoing, each day I would learn more about myself through the system. And finally I had a moment like, oh my God, I used, because I've always been very active. I used sports, jujitsu in the adult years, 25 years, as a way to avoid being around. I would work at home. I would work a lot. I would never spend time with anyone. I was home. And when I wasn't home, I was training, and sometimes I would train all day. And that was my operating system. And when the third marriage ended, I recognized this as like my need to go train jujitsu. It just vanished because there was no one there, so I could stop avoiding. And I made these connections because I was living a clutter-free life. And I said, oh my God. And I just killed that version of myself. And I've never actually had the urge to go back and train. And my body was healing along the way because I had really, like I said, severe nerve damage that the doctors I had surgeries and they said, hopefully I would get some feeling back, but I did through the program. But you have to, when you go through the system and you start simple, you start learning along the way. If you have too much noise in your life with like too much clutter, digital traffic, you just keep repeating the same mistake over and over. And the way the world is working now, it's only going to get worse with this noise. There's too much information out there. And everyone is automatically looking for the next new shiny object that'll fix them, or they just spend years with a therapist. But you have to do it yourself. You can, but with a structured program that is with minimal variables. Once you start adding tons and tons of things and information and more activities, it's not going to work. And when you have less on your plate, you get more results.
Okay, can I ask you this? What are those things? Is the first marriage toxic for the 5 months or 6 months the marriage lasted?
You know what? The first marriage, I thought she was pregnant. I was in a foreign country, and we got married. And literally a couple days before the wedding, she told me she wasn't pregnant, but I still went along with it. It was probably against better judgment, and we just weren't compatible. I mean, same. I mean, that's basically the case. There was nothing really to it. It was probably, I was trying to do the right thing, but it didn't happen. And then I felt the pressure because I had family flying into another country that I should try to make it work. And it did.
So what about the second marriage? How does the second marriage look like?
The second marriage, like I said, I wasn't emotionally present. I was there. I paid the bills. I showed up. But women need more than what I was giving them, emotionally, time-wise. And I had a son with her. And eventually, the bitterness between us ended the marriage. And then the third one, it was literally right after the second marriage ended. I went to a foreign country, found her, and we were married for 5 years. And I was 16 years older than her. And it just didn't work out. There was a lot of things different, from age to I went back and I repeated the same pattern with the training as well. So I wasn't there for her either. And that caused a lot of bitterness. So it was all on me.
So
now I'm married again. So I am married now.
Your marriage is working now?
Exceptional. Because I'm emotionally there.
Okay, now all this that happens in the first marriage, second marriage, third marriage, you have all this leads to the stage of your transformation.
Yes.
Yes. So now, by the time, how do you begin the stage of your transformation from the coming out of the third marriage? Now, how did your stage of transformation begins at that point?
Well, the stage of transformation was, the third marriage is going on. We agreed on the divorce. It didn't happen for probably another year and a half or two. But along that way, I still made that contract, basically a death contract, that I wanted to feel young again. My body, like I said, felt like it was 70, and doctors wanted to put me on opioids for pain, and that wasn't something I wanted to do. I wanted to keep my active lifestyle because that is my identity since childhood. I could not live without that. And when it all just came crashing down at me at one moment, everything going on at once, everything was failing. Marriage, work, everything was coming, to a head. And that's when I walked out onto that pool deck and I saw that kettlebell and I said, like, it has to change or I'm finished. And I had a moment of peace. I can't begin to describe it. And it's at that moment, I stopped playing not to lose, but to play to win. And I think this is, and it comes back to the system. It's heavily influenced on cold exposure, systems, diet, sleep. I mean, it's a pretty simple system, but it's not. The book goes into it. I could probably spend hours on it, but through all this, you're getting clean information in, and I was playing not to lose. And when you play not to lose, you become willing to do the uncomfortable. And when you do the uncomfortable, that's when you get results. And when you're willing to push past it, like I accepted that, like, I could die. So I pushed everything with the idea that, 911 days, I'm going to walk into that pool. So I pushed things that, because I wanted to win. And I believe, like, did I create this system myself? I think that I had a higher power give me this system and this path. And through doing the uncomfortable, it taught me really what it is not to panic, what it is not to complain, because it was an extremely tough journey. And I pushed it no matter what. Every day I did not miss. No matter what. If I was feeling sick, I'd still do it. Had a contingency plan. I kept going. And I think that when you have the plan and it's realistic and you're playing to win, you want to win. I think this is a lot of people I've worked with. They claim they want to win. They have all these projects and ideas, but eventually they realize what they really want. And then you focus in on that. I think it's really important is when you really, like, if you have passion about something, like I didn't want to die by any sense. I wanted to live, but I wanted a full life, a deeper life. And I knew that to do that, you had to do the uncomfortable. And I talk about it in the book, but savage chill, what it means is savage is doing the uncomfortable on purpose. The chill is the no panicking, no whining. And if you have savage without chill, you just have aggression. If you have chill without savage, you're just lazy. And when you combine them, you have the cold mind, strong body, clear vision. And I think that is basically the whole premise of the system is to become that person, that man you're supposed to be. And a man is supposed not to panic. And today, everyone seems to panic. They complain. And when you start complaining, all it does, complaining is just surrender with a microphone. You're finished once you start complaining. You start panicking, it's only a matter of time before the situation spirals out of control. But if you're in situations and life always hits you hard and you work on the no panicking, when life does hit you hard, you're prepared for it because we always have setbacks. You know what? There's going to be more situations where life will hit you back hard. And you can say like, oh, this always happens to me. You should embrace it. You should embrace the chaos as it's happening to you. Is because someone out there is trying to teach you a lesson. He's doing you a favor. He's trying to make you wake up. to what's going on. So you're not a victim. This is a learning moment. You should take each setback as a learning moment.
Wow, that's great. So I want to put up these questions to you. This question to you. At the point of your transformation, I know there are discouragements and there are things that encourage you. What are those things that you feel that are discouragements to you at the point of your transformation?
Well, I think discouragements is you're not seeing the results. And I think that we're programmed to automatically think you're going to see results immediately. And people don't take into, and myself included, don't take into account the delays in any type of system. Is you can start working out, you can start eating healthy, but you might gain weight. Like it is possible. And people get frustrated with that. For me, I started it and I would make some progress. And then all of a sudden, like I would wake up and my body would feel bad. Was I discouraged? Absolutely. But I recognize it. And that's where I started teaching myself the no panicking, no whining, and saying like, you got to give it time. You got to keep going. And you have to be persistent towards the goal. And if something isn't working, you have to recognize it and just eliminate it. Subtraction. So I think there is always this, you'll always get discouraged. I had discouraging moments, but you just have to follow the system. You set it up when you were in clear state of mind, when you designed the system. Just follow it. There is no thinking involved. Just keep going and accept the results, whatever they are. The only thing we can count on is did you follow the system? If the results showed promise, that's good. If they don't, keep following the system. If you win, you win. If you lose, you gave it everything you could. You followed the system. If you lose and you didn't follow the system, there's always going to be doubts in the back of your mind. You know, you always have to accept the results regardless. It's not so much the results, it's the journey along the way.
So what are those things that I give you, encourage you, that keeps you going?
Well, I mean, for me, I had 911 days to fix myself. So death is a hell of a motivator. You know, when you actually see it, and I visualize that every day. I actually, every morning, and to this day, I still visualize my death by that kettlebell, walking into the pool and drowning. And it motivates me because I don't want to die. I want to live, but I want to live a deeper life. For me, that is the motivation to keep going into the system. And I think that when you have it all like such a structured plan, you find your motivation. And you find, like, if you're playing to win, and that's the question you have to always ask. Are you really playing to win, or are you just playing like not to lose? Bare bones minimum. You have to go all in and just devote yourself to that. And that means, and along the way, you will learn a lot about yourself just by following a system, because the system is doing all the thinking for you. And you just have your mind to work with. You're going to go through it every day. Every day you do everything that you were supposed to do. It's a victory. Whether you have setbacks or not, it's still a victory. And I think it's important you recognize it. If you miss a day just because you're like, you know what, kind of lazy, I don't feel like it today, that's a loss. You can still, to me, like, you have to follow the system. And if you can't follow the system, you're not compatible with the system. You know, so like if I put, like, I don't like to run, but if I had in the system, like, I'm going to run every day, I'm going to run 3 miles a day, I'm going to fail because I don't like to run, you know? So I'm compatible with the system, like every aspect of it. So you have to really, and when you're compatible with the system and when you design it, you're honest with yourself. You have to be honest, like what you can do bare bones minimum every day, not on a great day, but bare bones minimum every day. That is a system that works, and that system will outperform those great systems you design for yourself that can only last 2 weeks. So I think along the way, designing the system also creates honesty with yourself. And that is also a big path towards your goal, because we lie to ourselves more than we lie to others. This is for sure.
Okay, well, before we bring this chat and interview to a close, let me ask two more questions. And one, I want to ask this. You have scaled through the first, second, third marriage. Now you are married again, and you said it's exceptional.
Yes.
I want to ask, women has their behavior, they have their behavior. I don't know, maybe there are some things that you see in your first wife, second wife, third one as the red flags, and maybe now you start seeing them in your fourth wife. So how do you handle those situations when you begin to see them?
Well, I don't think there was, I'm conscious. I went back because I had lots of time, because I followed the system and I could reflect on life. And I will say this is the greatest reflection you can have, or meditation, is sitting in cold water, 30-degree water, or zero Celsius. Is one, you have a clear mind. You have to, because you can't panic inside of cold water. And you start reflecting and you see things with clarity. And I can go back and I can say I saw red flags with my ex-wives, but I think the red flags were on me. I had the red flags from selection, from not being there. So it's really easy to become a victim, like you chose badly. I did. I mean, did I choose badly? I did. But why I did, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, that's irrelevant, but I wasn't there. And I can't emphasize that enough, is you can have the greatest woman in the world, and if you're not emotionally or physically present, it's not going to work. So I monitor my own red flags, because that's the only thing I can do. Is I just have to take everything with honesty. And if I start catching myself putting in more time with work or getting sidetracked, you have to spend time with a woman. Like, that is and you have to have a connection. And if the connection breaks, you have to reconnect it fast. I think this is really important. And if you go through this whole system, first of all, I physically, mentally healed myself. So I wasn't going to choose chaos, because I was finished with chaos. And so I would say is, for people that struggle, you can go to a marriage counselor. But if you have to put work into a relationship, it's most likely bad selection, because it should come naturally. I mean, I'm going to be clear on that. Like, you either chose poorly, she chose poorly, or you did it for not the right reasons. But if you choose right and you're aware of your own shortcomings, like your past behaviors, especially, I'm talking about 40, older men, because when you're young, that's a different story, but you have to be willing to understand what a woman's needs are. And I never in the past really understood that. So I learned lots of lessons from these experiences. And I think that, it's a positive thing, because right now it's the greatest relationship I've ever had. It's the love of my life. And I feel like there is no work in it. And the only way something bad could happen is from me. And I recognize that. I'm on guard. I'm not looking. I'm not actively searching for red flags. And if you saw a red flag and then still married her, that's on you too. I never saw any red flags. I only know about the red flags I have. And for me, it was a perfect selection because I was in the right frame of mind. Now, a lot of people do things with impulse. That's, you're going to have problems. Could you make it work? Sure, you can. But selection is a big aspect of it. And selection comes when you're mentally and spiritually sound. I think this is really important. So if you're pointing fingers at a woman, I still think that you should really look at yourself in the mirror, probably because it's something you do. Women are emotional. And I think that you have to recognize, at least I do now, is women are a different creature than men in behavioral mechanisms, emotions, and everything else. So you have to realize they're looking for the comfort, the caring, and you have to be there for them. And I can't emphasize that enough. And if you don't want to be there for them, you really have to look at yourself why. You can't force those things.
Wow, that's great. So I want to ask you these last questions before you give us our take-home messages, what the advice you have for people and how you want to encourage them. But let me give you these questions. You just give us in a few minutes our response. As a transformed man, if you are to go back to your past now, do you think you're going to do it better than how you have handled it before, maybe your first, second, third marriage? If you're as a transformed man, if you are to go back to your past, do you think you will do better than what you're doing now?
Well, that's a great question. I think if I went back to the previous marriages,
Yes.
I don't think they would have ever happened.
No, I'm not saying you're going back. Okay. I'm not saying you're going back. But for instance, now, let's say the picture you have maybe you have said, okay, you have the privilege. Okay, they said, okay, this is your first marriage, second marriage. If you are better, if you are the way you are better now, that is what you are before now. Will you think you're going to do better than what you have experienced then?
Oh, absolutely. No question about that. Because I'm a totally different man. And women can see, like my wife could see that as well when she first met me. Because I was disciplined. I had a very structured life. And that gives any woman comfort because I don't want to speak generally, but in general, women can be very chaotic. So, they notoriously, because they depend on men. So if a man is panicking, how is that going to make the woman feel? Right? So if you're not panicking, you're doing all those things and always staying calm, you're going to have a calm wife. Calm wife is happy. Because no one wants chaos in their life, because there's enough chaos in the world regardless. But when you come home or you're at home with your wife, they want calm, they want comfort, they want security. That's all you can do. And if they have all that, you're going to make it work. But it all really comes down to I hate to generalize this, but most marriages fail because of the man. He is the decision maker. This is how it was always designed. So it's all going to rely on you as a man. if you make the right choices from the right woman, this is a really big one. And you're not chaotic. The woman is compatible with you, similar personalities. I think that like everyone's marriage would be successful if you just take away some of the chaos. Understand like what a woman does for a man, because in the past I never truly understood until I lived by myself and had to do it all myself how much time and effort it is to actually run a house. I was just doing, I'd like to work, I'd go work, I'd like to go train, I'd go train. And I never realized the effort a woman puts in to make a house for a man. And I think once you appreciate those things, that you should try a little bit harder. I think that overall man thinks that he pays bills, and it's like they don't appreciate. I think once you experience that too, you start to appreciate like all the things a woman does. And it's a lot. They have a lot of responsibility. It's not all on men. Like I used to think this. It's a different ball game. We all have our duties to fulfill to each other, and it's usually the man that fails to fulfill his duties. I know I did.
Wow, that's good. That's a great one. I really appreciate your coming on Season of Change podcast. Quickly, I will want you to just share to our audience, those who will be listening to this and watching the videos, how can they get in touch with you in order if some have questions, some want to learn, some need you to develop a structure for them. So how do
I
they
have
get
a
in
web.
touch with you?
I have a website, savagechillstyle.com. I can send it to you as well. And I'm on there, and I also have a online program too, which is phenomenal. And the book tells a lot about it, but the online school really goes into each category very in depth with exercises, and it will make you a better man for sure. And it's a great program. I will say that. I can't recommend it enough. Obviously, I'm recommending because I made it, but it's really a solid program, and it gets you on the right track in life. It gets rid of all the noise, so you just have signal what you need to do. And I can't emphasize enough, we're drowned by chaos in today's world. From the news to your phone going off every second. If you have all that going on, there's no possible way you can be connected with your wife. It's impossible. You see the divorce rates worldwide are increasing because of it. So, yeah, it's a great program. And I will, if you're interested, I'll send you a link for you to get on the online school. You'll love it. The principles on it. Even if someone takes one of the principles, it'll change their life. And I have to say this just from working with lots of people. And this is my first module in the school, is you need to drink more water. Everyone is lacking water. When they say 8 glasses a day, that's ridiculous. I'm drinking, I don't know what you use gallons or metrics or liters where you are?
We use liters.
Okay, liters. Before I even think about having coffee, I'm drinking 4 liters of water in the morning before even thinking of coffee. And if you just wake up in the morning and have coffee, that's like pouring gasoline on a fire. You're already dehydrated. The anxiety will come up. The shallow breathing begins. So it starts with water. And when I went through this transformation, I started at the basics. water, breathing, and rebuilt from there. Because you have to start basically with a clean slate to install a real operating system that actually works. So I would encourage everyone, get the water, bring it everywhere you go. If you're planning your day, I have it too, is if I'm going out for the day, I figure, okay, I'm going to be gone for 3 hours. I need 3 of these bottles. So that alone is a game changer no one talks about. And I'm sure everyone around the world knows, but even in Tom Brady, greatest football player ever, his program that he sells, TB12, he really emphasizes you have to drink a ton of water. And like if you have coffee or alcohol, which I don't encourage anyone to drink, is you have to increase the water even more. If you're out in the heat, you have to increase the water more. And he's recommending 1 ounce per pound of body weight just for basic activity. So drink the water. It will make a change in everything. I can't emphasize this enough as a starting point. It's the simplest thing you can do. You're not going to like it. I had a client, actually pretty young kid, and he said, I had brain fog, blah, blah, blah. I walked him through his day. He wasn't drinking enough water. And I said, I want you to drink 1 liter. He was in Sweden. 1 liter of water before even having coffee. He drank 1. I said, next week I want 2 liters. And he automatically said, you know what? The brain fog is gone just from water. That's how powerful water is. It's very underestimated how important it is. I can talk hours just about water. It's a game changer.
Wow, that's great. So we really appreciate your coming and thank you for all the insight you have just given it to us. And we know by the grace of God, things will be getting better and better. And I wish you the best on your marriage and a great happy home. And I believe that we will still need your presence on season of change, and we want to work with you in a lot of space. And at any time we are open for you to share more insight on your transformation lifestyle and all you are doing. And I want to say thank you so much on this episode. We really appreciate you. Thank you for coming on this, being part of the episode from Survivor onto Calling, how you got to align your life from the beginning, from scratch, to fulfilling the purpose which God has for you and for your home and for your marriage. And I'm happy to be in the picture and to hear about this. And I so much want to say thank you, Cam.
Thank you.
We appreciate your presence. We appreciate giving us your audience to share your story. And I know that very soon we'll be bringing you back again to still talk more. And you're going to be part of our programs also, because we also want to be recommending people for transformation programs like mentorship. So you're going to be part of it. And I know that God will help us. So we want to bring this recording to a stop. I will say thank you so much to all our audience. This is Season of Change, transforming your life by the power in the Word of God. And we all say thank you to you. We appreciate our guest, Cam Coding. We so much appreciate you. So please, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeremiah.